It's time again for Northwestern Outdoors Radio, the show covering fishing, hunting, and all sorts of outdoor recreation and destinations right here in the region you live and play in. Northwestern Outdoors is brought to you every week by Max Lure Company, makers of the world-famous wedding ring spinner, by Loophole, America's Optics Authority, and by Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter. Northwestern Outdoors is also sponsored by Wallowa County in Northeast Oregon, where you'll find both nature and fun. By Chad's Coast White Sports Fishing, offering you the affordable Canadian fishing trip of a lifetime. And by Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors. So grab your fishing rod or hunting gear, load up the boat or lace up your boots, and let's head outdoors with your host, John Cruz.
I guess you can call this Veterans Day weekend. With Veterans Day hitting on Friday, there are some folks who are getting a 3-day weekend, and at this time of year, that may translate to some extra time in a layout blind for geese, in the woods maybe for deer or elk, or on the water, trolling for salmon or casting for trout or steelhead. For those of you not getting away, I hope you'll consider taking a little time to honor our veterans. If you missed out on the Veterans Day parades that have been taking place around the greater Northwest, I understand. But the next time you see someone wearing a hat that indicates they're a veteran, make it a point to thank them for their service. The truth of the matter is, very few Americans serve in the military anymore, and most Americans don't have to make the sacrifices our service members do, and trust me, they make sacrifices on a daily basis that many people growing up in our entitlement, give-it-to-me-now society never have to make. So again, thank them. Buy them a cup of coffee. Maybe pick up the tab for them at your local diner. They're not asking for this, but it does mean a lot when they know that we as Americans care for what they've done for our country. This week on the show, we are honoring our veterans and sharing information about organizations that use the outdoors and activities like camping, hiking, hunting, and fishing to help our soldiers suffering from wounds seen and unseen heal. Our first stop is the Divide Camp. It's a special place for veterans located in the Wallowa Mountains of Northeast Oregon. It's a place where combat veterans who have served after 9/11 in places like Afghanistan and Iraq can come and enjoy not only outdoor recreation, but also time with peers who, like them, have been there, done that for their country. Corey Watson is a combat veteran and Divide Camp attendee who will tell you more about this. Lance Mers is a regular guest on our show and a manager at Max Lure Company. Lance is also a veteran, and it turns out Max Lure Company supports an organization dedicated to getting soldiers and veterans outdoors. Lance will tell you what organization they are partnering with during our extended Max Minute. Another group getting veterans outdoors operates on the waters of Western Washington. It's called Salmon for Soldiers, and they are taking some vets on some great fishing trips out on Puget Sound, off the Washington coast, and elsewhere. Randy Shelton will join us to tell you more about the great work this volunteer organization is doing. In addition to veterans and the outdoors, we'll check in with Ron Osheim with Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks about how the big game hunting is going so far in Montana. We've got information about coastal razor clamming opportunities, or the lack thereof, as well as info about steelhead being released into an Idaho river. Oh, and we've also got news about a really, really dumb criminal who was saved by his dog and the police who were chasing him in eastern Oregon. Throw in our Sportsman's Warehouse trivia question of the week and some great events taking place at Sportsman's Warehouse stores, and we've got a really good show for you. But before we go any further, we've got a special edition of Sportsman Spotlight for you. This week, Susan Allen guest hosts and introduces you to yet another group helping our veterans heal through the sport of fishing.
This is Sportsman Spotlight with Matt and Tom.
I'm Susan Allen, and thrilled to be guest hosting Sportsman Spotlight for Matt, who's on his honeymoon, and Tom, who's out deer hunting, because I get this opportunity to introduce you to a program that uses fly fishing to change lives. Project Healing Waters is dedicated to the physical and emotional rehabilitation of disabled military service personnel and disabled veterans. On their website, you'll hear the story of Iraqi war veteran Randall Steiger, who struggled to transition to civilian life, and how, with the help of mentors and a river, he found solace in fishing.
The VA gave me a call and said, "Hey, how would you like to go fishing?" I said, I never caught a fish in my life. I'm 30 years old. I said, all right, I'll go check it out. On that trip, I ended up catching the first fish in my life. Ended up being the biggest fish of the day. It was really exciting for me.
And it's much more than a one-day fishing trip. These mentors, they're there for a long-term basis.
Our common military service really bonds us. Everything we do, building rods, tying flies, meeting, practicing, tying knots, the drive to where we're going to stay, we're waiting to get on that water.
With their motto, "The water holds no scars," consider giving the gift of fishing this holiday season. Contact Project Healing Waters flyfishing.org.
You just heard Sportsman Spotlight, brought to you by the Ag Information Network of the West.
A quality and affordable fishing adventure is waiting for you off Vancouver Island with Chad's Coast-Wide Sports Fishing. Located in Port Hardy, British Columbia, you can drive or fly to your all-inclusive guided fishing vacation. Whether you're after big salmon, heart-fighting halibut, or a cooler full of red snapper and lingcod, you can catch it all here. Better yet, your lodging, meals, and fish processing are all taken care of. Want one more reason to go? The price. With the Canadian dollar exchange rate where it is right now, your U.S. dollar goes further. Space is limited, so go to coastwidesportsfishing.com to book your trip. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com for an incredible BC fishing adventure.
At Loophole Optics, they guarantee performance. Those other optics companies, they just warranty failure. That's why every Loophole product has a lifetime guarantee. Think of it as a warranty you'll never need to cash in on. Find out more at loophole.com.
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. It is Veterans Day weekend, and we are highlighting some organizations dedicated to helping out our veterans by getting them outdoors. One such place, or one such organization, it's a place really, it's called Divide Camp. You'll find it in the Wallowa Mountains of Northeast Oregon. Their tagline is honoring service, building hope, and with us here is a combat veteran who also is involved with Divide Camp. His name is Corey Watson. Corey, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Corey, tell our listeners a little bit about Divide Camp. It's in the Wallowa Mountains. Let's start off with the basics. Describe the camp for us. What is it?
Well, Divide Camp is a 40-acre parcel of land, like you said, up in the Wallowa Mountains. And we have a main lodge, 4 cabins, and an A-frame, all been fully renovated. And what we do is we like to bring out folks from Iraq, Afghanistan that got injured, and bring them out and just try to get them reconnected with life, basically, and to try to find some peace out in the beautiful Wallowa Mountains.
I was looking at the calendar of events, and boy, it's busy. You guys do wilderness backpacking trips, you do fishing trips, you do hunting trips for deer and for elk. So there's a lot going on there in this little corner of Northeast Oregon. And like you said, Divide Camp is for physically and psychologically injured combat veterans post 9/11. So we're talking Iraq and Afghanistan primarily. If you don't mind me asking, tell me a little bit about your service and how you came to Divide Camp.
Well, I kind of have a somewhat different military story. I joined the Marine Corps in 1988. Was my first enlistment from 88 to 92 in the Marine Corps. During that time, I was Desert Storm, Desert Shield. And then I got out and started working in the civilian world, and worked at the same job for 17 years, and then decided I had one more trip left in me in the military. I just felt it was a duty as an American to do what I could, and so I re-enlisted back into the Army National Guard and was immediately sent over to Iraq as a infantryman. And just while I was in Iraq, was injured with a IED, and it was both physical and mental. And so that's basically how I got involved with Divide Camp. As I got back home and was struggling with just everyday life, my job, family, a little bit of everything, and just doing looking through the internet, I found their website and applied with them, and they brought me out.
And what was your first trip?
My first trip was back in 2014. And basically, Julie Wheeler, who started the camp, just called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to just come down and hang out for the week?" And it sounded really good, and so I said, sure. And so I went on down, and little did I know, I got down there, and I got put right to work and helping build the a little picnic structure down there for future guests to enjoy. And, you know, it was a lot of work, but it's actually really what I needed, because having had quit work from the problems that I was having, it felt good to feel useful.
Absolutely.
And to be put to task, and, you know, just made me realize that, you know, I still have some purpose.
And I would imagine, you know, when you're there at the camp, you're with other combat veterans, that there's a lot of relational peer counseling that's going on, because you've all been through the same sort of thing, and you're here in this beautiful setting, doing activities that you love. It's got to be therapeutic.
Oh, absolutely. It's the area itself is just beautiful, and when you're with people, other veterans that have gone through the exact same as you, maybe just, you know, a slightly different story as you, but in general, everyone has a lot of the same stories, and it's a lot easier to let that out than with other veterans than telling, you know, family, friends that may not fully understand.
Let me ask you a question about one of the activities I saw, the Tyrone Woods Memorial Elk Hunt. Tell me a little bit about that, and tell me a little bit about Tyrone Woods.
Well, what Tyrone Woods was one of the 4 Americans that was killed in Benghazi. And what we're doing is his father actually lives in the area, I guess just kind of, from what I understand, just moved into the area. And he read an article from just a few weeks ago about an elk hunt that I had brought a gentleman named Jose Martinez up for, and he was a triple amputee, and we took him out, and he was able to harvest his elk. But his father read the article about that hunt and wanted to get involved, and so he was going to donate his bull tag that he had drawn to Divide Camp. But unfortunately, this year we couldn't make that happen because of the laws down in Oregon. You can't just switch a bull tag over. But it just kind of got us thinking that, you know, we'd like to definitely do a hunt next year and the years to follow to just honor his memory with a nice hunt for a fellow veteran.
Absolutely. And folks, Tyrone Woods was a native of Portland, Oregon, and his father now lives in Enterprise, Oregon, home of our affiliate, KWVR. So let's talk about how to get involved with this. So, you know, if there's veterans out there that are listening, and they are Iraq or Afghanistan veterans that have been injured either physically or psychologically, and they're like, I want to find out more about this, what's the website we steer them to?
The website that you can go to is www.dividecamp.org. On that website, it has everything from our calendar of activities to some of our past trips. It has information of the, you know, what's in the area. There's a ton of information on there, as well as, you know, if you go to that and you'd like to, there's a little donate tab on there. So if you know, so inclined, if someone was looking there, they could click on that and help us out as well. And then we also have our social media. We have Facebook also under Divide Camp Inc.
All right. So go to Facebook, Divide Camp Inc. Go to the website, dividecamp.org. If you're a veteran and want to get involved, that's the place for you. And are you going to be at some of the sportsman shows again this year, too? I know that you're at Puyallup this past year. Hopefully you'll be there again in 2017.
Yes, we're going to be at the Sportsman Show in Puyallup and also the one in Portland this year. And we'll have, at those booths, we'll have information. I'll have flyers and pamphlets, and I will more than likely be at both of the shows, definitely at the Puyallup show, and more than likely at the Portland show as well. But there'll be veterans that are involved with the organization on hand at the shows to give you all the information anyone could want.
Well, there you go. So, folks, again, especially for you veterans out there that might be interested, check out the website. And if you're still a little undecided, go to the Sportsman Show, meet your peers in Portland or Puyallup, and get involved. Get involved with the Divide Camp. It's at a beautiful place, beautiful setting, and doing some very special things. Corey, thanks for your service, and thanks for telling us all about this on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
All right, thank you.
Leupold Gold Ring Optics are built to perform at the highest level, shot after shot, year after year. Our rifle scopes, binoculars, spotting scopes, rangefinders, and more always come through when you need them most. That's why our American-built products have a lifetime guarantee. Or as we like to say here at Leupold, they are guaranteed for a lifetime of performance, not a lifetime of replacement. Find out more about our top quality gear and our lifetime guarantee at Leupold.com. Leupold, America's optics authority.
Are you ready for some real adventure? Then wake up to winter in Wallowa County. Grab your camera, put on your snowshoes, and take a professionally guided hike into the quiet solitude and breathtakingly rugged beauty of the Eagle Cap Wilderness. Or sleep under the stars and test your mettle with some winter camping and ice fishing for kokanee and trout at Wallowa Lake. Or bring your snowmobile to Salt Creek Summit and explore Wallowa County on 150 miles of Northeast Oregon's best trails. Your outdoor winter adventure begins at www.wallowacountychambers.com.
The two-burner camp stove has evolved, and today's line of portable camp stoves from Camp Chef have come a long way from your father's propane stove, featuring matchless ignition, more cooking power, and in some cases a built-in grill or extra burner. And you've got what you need to whip up some great grub in the field. Look for the complete line of Mountain Series stoves at your local sporting goods store. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors. You're back with more of the great outdoors on Northwestern Outdoors Radio with John Cruz.
It's time for another Max Minute.
Fish on!
Brought to you every week by Max Lure Company. With us again, Lance Mers with Max Lures. And Lance, you're a veteran, and thank you for your service. And it being Veterans Day weekend, I thought we would talk about some of the organizations out there that are doing some great stuff. Now, we've highlighted a couple during this show, but I understand Max Lure Company also supports a veterans group.
Well, thanks, John, for saying that. I do appreciate it. We do. And, you know, veterans are pretty near and dear to my heart, as they should be with everybody. But since I came on board with Max Lure, we've been involved with what they call the Fallen Outdoors. And the Fallen Outdoors is basically an organization. It's more like a networking organization that helps wounded veterans having problems or something like that, and tying everybody as an outdoor enthusiast together. So it's veterans helping veterans, going fishing, going hunting, anything outdoors. These guys are doing it. You know, they've really expanded their footprint. I remember running across them when they just started a couple years ago at the sportsman shows, and now you'll find them at the Portland Sportsman Show, the Puyallup Sportsman Show. They're really all over the place. Great group of folks that are doing some great work, and I'm glad to see that Max Lure Company is supporting them. Absolutely, and with any vet that's out there, thank you for your service. And that wraps up this Veterans Day weekend edition of Your Max Minute. Find out more about Max Lures by going to maxlure.com. Walleye anglers all over the Northwest are raving about the new Smile Blade Spindrift Walleye Lure made by Max Lure Company. Lance Mers is with us here to tell us more about it.
This lure is fantastic. We've got the patented Smile Blade. We've got a pill float that keeps it just off of the bottom where the fish like to bite. And that Spindrift hook is absolutely phenomenal. You can tip it with any kind of bait.
Tip it with a crawler, tip it with a leech, whatever you tip it with, it's going to catch more fish. It's the Smile Blade Spindrift Walleye Lure, only from Max Lure Company.
A quality and affordable fishing adventure is waiting for you off Vancouver Island with Chad's Coast-Wide Sports Fishing. Located in Port Hardy, British Columbia, you can drive or fly to your all-inclusive guided fishing vacation. Whether you're after big salmon, heart-fighting halibut, or a cooler full of red snapper and lingcod, you can catch it all here. Better yet, your lodging, meals, and fish processing are all taken care of. Want one more reason to go? The price. With the Canadian dollar exchange rate where it is right now, your U.S. dollar goes further. Space is limited, so go to coastwidesportsfishing.com to book your trip. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com for an incredible BC fishing adventure.
If you've ever been fishing in Mexico, you know how good it can be, and now you can fish there with the Real News. Take your choice of a trip to Baja's East Cape for roosterfish, marlin, and dorado. These trips are value priced, so you can stretch your dollars in fun. To find out more about fishing Mexico with the Real News, log on to therealnews.com or call 425-334-8966. Again, that's therealnews.com or 425-334-8966. For an incredible adventure.
This is the time of year to get out and cook out. So make your next meal sizzle with Camp Chef, the brand known for quality outdoor cooking equipment. To eat like a king on your next adventure, go to campchef.com or visit your local sporting goods store and get cooking. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
Welcome back to this Veterans Day weekend edition of Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and as you know, we like to highlight organizations that are getting our veterans and our soldiers outdoors as a means of helping them to heal. One such organization is very unique name. It's called Salmon for Soldiers, and we're talking with Randy Shelton about this organization. Randy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, John. Great to have some conversation with you today, and thank you for your service.
My pleasure. Randy, Salmon for Soldiers, what's it all about?
Salmon for Soldiers is a way to honor our veterans, to give them a day just to be okay. We take them out with local anglers, and we take them fishing. We have events, a large event once a year, and then many times throughout the year, we'll take them out on private charters. And we deal with charters exclusively because they get the best experience, and our dollars that are donated by our generous citizens, they go farther and they mean more.
That makes perfect sense to me. So we have listeners in a 5-state area. Where does Salmon for Soldiers operate?
Salmon for Soldiers operates essentially out of Union, Washington. The south end of Hood Canal is where our home is. We're an all-volunteer, 11-member board that puts this together. And we do reach out across the nation in the last 4 years, and people join us from all over. But normally and mostly, we're out of Washington State, the West Coast, the rivers, any body of water. And we also fly veterans up to Alaska for an all-expenses-paid trip up there. It's 2 days of travel and 3 days of fishing. It is absolutely just a riot.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit more about some of the trips you sent veterans out on in 2016?
Oh, goodness sakes, yeah. There's many different types of trips, whether you like to angle for winter steelhead on the rivers, if you like to go tuna fishing off the coast, if you like to go salmon fishing from the Columbia River to the coast to Alaska. We have a waiting list of well over 100 veterans right now, and we're just trying to keep up with the demand. We don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, and we want it to be meaningful and purposeful and real personal.
I think that's fantastic. And give or take, how many veterans went out on your trips last year?
Well, last year, over 90 veterans went out on trips. In fact, we've got 2 more at the Everett Blackmouth Derby. We're sponsoring 2 more veterans up there. And we're not a large organization. We spent over $43,000 on these trips for those 90-plus veterans. And I tell you what, the investment is worth it. If you go on to salmonforsoldiers.com and our Facebook page, you can see the net result. It's tangible, it's real, and it's a survivable environment where a lot of them have come from other places that are much more difficult than this.
Absolutely. Again, folks, you're listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're talking with Randy Shelton about Salmon for Soldiers. It's a nonprofit volunteer organization that takes our veterans out on the water for a day of fishing as a means to help them to heal from what they have suffered in wartime or during their time serving our country. So let's talk about the annual event that's coming up in 2017. What is this all about?
The annual event, this will be, I believe, our 5th annual event. It will be late August. We don't have a date nailed down yet. We will not open registration until probably April or even May. But what happens is we get veterans and their guests. We do a veteran plus one. You come with somebody you're familiar with, you leave with another couple hundred friends. And so they come, we pair them with boat captains, and we provide the boat, the gear, the licenses, the lunch, the coffee, everything. Take them out fishing. They come in, they do the weigh-in, the photos, and have a bunch of good banter about who caught the biggest and best fish. We feed them world-class barbecue. We get together, we have a day of camaraderie, and at the end of all of that, if you want to go fishing, you're going to need a boat. We give one away.
Wow. And where does this take place? Puget Sound, I imagine.
It takes place up at the Port of Everett, at the Everett Marina. It is the largest port in, I believe, on the west coast of Washington, just Washington specifically, and it's the only marina that can handle the volume of boats that we have on that single day. We will dock 150 boats and fill it with veterans and send them fishing all at the same time.
Incredible. Now, with all the closures we had this year in Puget Sound, were you able to pull this event off in 2016?
We did, and we did it without fishing because we were not allowed to go out. With that said, we had about 450 people show up just for the event. Because in the end, the real important thing is a relationship. It's being with your peers. It's being in an area and a time and a place where you can be comfortable, you can be relaxed, and the rest of the cares of the world, you can let those melt away and just have a day to be okay.
So I know we've got some veterans that are listening to this show right now and listening to you talk about Salmon for Soldiers, and they're probably thinking, A, do I qualify to participate, and B, how do I participate?
That's easy. We have our arms completely open to all active duty, all veterans, all military personnel, all ages, all eras. The only people that we really shy away from, and I think that our larger audience out there can agree, is that we do not accept dishonorably discharged military personnel.
I think that's a very good rule to have. So just about all of our vets out there now understand they can participate. How do they go about contacting you and getting on the list or signing up for this annual event?
My contact information is on our salmonforsoldiers.com website. There's a contact page. You go on, put your information, and click it, send it. It comes right directly to my email. I send out the registration forms. You send that back along with proof of your service, and I put you in the queue. I'll always get back with you by either phone or email, and I'll put you right into the system waiting either the guided one-off trips or the large event that comes up. And when I open it up for registration for the larger event this coming August, the floodgates open.
All right. So for you veterans out there, get that DD-214 out of the drawer you keep it in or the safe and make a copy of it and sign up to participate. The website, salmonforsoldiers.com. Last question for you, Randy. $43,000. That's a lot of money, and an 11-person board's not coming up with that themselves. How can our listeners help your organization?
The first thing that listeners can do by helping our organization is to honor our veteran community, regardless of the money. Because I've always said to our board and each member there, the money will come. It will come as it will come, and it'll be here when it's supposed to be here, and it'll be here how it's supposed to be here. And it does come. I don't beat the drum for money, and it shows up. And we're so blessed. So honor your veteran community. Know that your service mattered. It counts. You're worth something. You're important, and we don't want to lose you. We don't want to lose you because maybe there's elements out in society that are a little tougher than we like to face, but we're veterans. We're not victims. We can hold our head high, and we know that what we did matters.
Randy, great words to end this on. And folks, if you want to help out this organization, Randy's not going to ask you, but I'm going to ask you to do so. Go to salmonforsoldiers.com and consider making a donation. As you can tell, this is a great organization that's doing some great things for our veterans to get them outside on the water, helping them to heal through the pursuit of fishing. Randy, thanks for all you do, and thanks for being with us this Veterans Day weekend on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
You bet. Thank you for your service, and welcome home.
Quality and affordable fishing adventure is waiting for you off Vancouver Island with Chad's Coast-Wide Sports Fishing. Located in Port Hardy, British Columbia, you can drive or fly to your all-inclusive guided fishing vacation. Whether you're after big salmon, heart-fighting halibut, or a cooler full of red snapper and lingcod, you can catch it all here. Better yet, your lodging, meals, and fish processing are all taken care of. Want one more reason to go? The price. With the Canadian dollar exchange rate where it is right now, your U.S. dollar goes further. Space is limited, so go to coastwidesportsfishing.com to book your trip. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com for an incredible BC fishing adventure.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after. Whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out on the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of the Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio, and we thought we would check in with Ron Osheim. He's with Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks about the hunting that's been going on over in south central and western Montana. Ron, welcome to the show.
Welcome to me. Thank you, John. Thanks for the interest.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on, and there's been a lot of effort in south central Montana, northwest Montana. Let's start off with south central Montana. How's the big game hunting been going?
Been going well, John. As you can imagine, we've had really mild weather since the opener, which we had kind of an interesting wet fall and some colder weather, and now it's just turned bluebird. And the good news is the deer harvest isn't affected near as much in south central Montana as the elk harvest. And good reports. Mule deer are in good shape in most of Montana. They're bouncing back, really, really doing well in the eastern part of the state, and in I guess you would call it the east central part of the state. Elk harvest is not probably pretty typical opener, but the second week was slower just due to the weather, John. Just those elk haven't been concentrated. There's no snow to move them. There's no snow to really see where they're around, and no snow to move them down to lower elevations.
You know, with this mild weather, the bears are still out. And I understand that you are partnering in a program to offer hunters free bear spray in a certain part of Montana.
2 block management areas, and those are areas where landowners have agreed to allow hunters under certain conditions in the Blackfoot area. And the way that works, individuals go to meetings once a week or drawings every Friday evening to see who gets to hunt on those 2 different properties. They're what we call block management areas. Individuals that draw are given free bear spray. That's a cooperative effort of the Sierra Club, Defenders of Wildlife, and Counter Assault, which is giving us a discount on the price of those.
And Counter Assault, of course, based in Kalispell, Montana. They put out a great product. And, you know, I've talked to some folks before that are experts in this field. They would tell you, and it seems counterintuitive because you've got a rifle and you're after a deer or an elk, but they would tell you that bear spray is a better option than a rifle.
Well, it's a better option if you're surprised and you've got a mist from a bear spray canister that can be several feet wide, width and depth, and a rifle bullet or a pistol bullet that's one projectile. And I think, John, the real issue is if you're not really steady and ready to just fire with complete confidence, that one projectile is not nearly as effective. Plus, if you've ever been affected by pepper spray, which is essentially bear spray, it works. What it does to your eyes, your nose, your mouth. The fact is, it's been proven that it is more effective. You don't wound bears, you stop them quicker, and you're more likely to hit them. That's the bottom line.
Well, you're absolutely right. And for my previous career as a law enforcement officer, I've been exposed to pepper spray quite a few times, and yes, it does work. The good news is it's temporary, and after a while, it goes away. Let's change our attention to northwest Montana. How's the hunting season been there so far for elk and deer?
Had a great opener for deer in particular. And northwestern Montana doesn't have quite as many elk as some of the other parts of the state. It did well in the shoulder seasons up there, the early shoulder season. It was a small sample, small number of hunters involved, but did some things to disperse some elk. The elk harvest was pretty standard, but whitetail deer harvest the first weekend was outstanding. It dropped off a little the second weekend, and that's the primary big game animal up there, except for some special permit things, moose and that sort of stuff. But yeah, the whitetail deer numbers are back, it looks like, in pretty good shape.
Well, I'll tell you what, having spent a little bit of time around Polson and Flathead Lake, there's a lot of white-tailed deer up in that area. There is one blemish we have to talk about to hunting season. It looks like somebody poached a moose on Crane Mountain.
Yep, we're still looking for information, John. I checked yesterday and again this morning. As far as we have not heard, we're getting some information through the Tipmont hotline, but to this date, we don't have any real leads where we've got anybody in mind.
Do you have an idea of when this moose was poached, and is there any suspect information at all, or can we at least tell people where this occurred so that it'll jog their memories?
Well, it occurred on Crane Mountain, and I'm not sure exactly when it happened. We knew as early as Monday the 31st, and I'm not sure. It occurred over the weekend, I think, John, just prior to that, so it would have been either the 29th or the 30th.
And the toll-free number?
The toll-free number is 1-800-TIPMONT.
All right, that's 1-800-TIPMONT, and I presume people can remain anonymous and potentially collect a reward.
That's the deal, and we really need help on this. And, John, any other bad decisions that people view, we need help. The eyes and ears of our hunters that are out there really help. we need to do some things to clean up some of the bad behavior.
I agree 100%. We have got to go, but before we do, let's steer people towards the Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks website so they can find out more about hunting and fishing in the great state of Montana.
fwp.mt.gov and go to hunting.
All right. Ron, thank you so much. You have a great day.
Thanks for the interest, John. Have a good weekend.
In other news, we've got bad news for razor clam diggers on the Washington and Oregon coast. The Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife has canceled a 5-day clam dig at Twin Harbors and Long Beach. It was scheduled to start the 12th and run through the 16th. The reason? Again, elevated marine toxin levels that can be harmful or even fatal if consumed in high quantities. Neither Long Beach nor Twin Harbors have met state public health standards for toxins yet this year, but they might be in the clear by November 17th. There's better news further north at Copalis and Mock Rocks. Those two beaches have met state health standards, and they may be opened on November 17th. If you were thinking of just going to Oregon instead for your razor clams, well, think again. As of a few days ago, the harvest of razor clams and mussels remains closed along the entire Oregon coast, also due to elevated marine acid levels. Again, check those state regulations for updates, and hopefully we'll get to dig our clams and cook some chowder soon. Heading to Idaho. If your travels take you to Boise, be sure to bring your steelhead rod. Idaho Fish and Game has once again stocked the Boise River with A-run steelhead from Hell's Canyon. There were doubts whether this annual fall stocking, which has taken place since 1997, would take place this year because the steelhead run up the Snake is about 40% below the 10-year average. However, there are enough fish to continue this opportunity for Boise area anglers, and 300 steelhead were stocked into the river between Glenwood Bridge and Barber Dam. Idaho Fish and Game plans on releasing another 100 to 200 steelhead into the river later this month. Boise really is a nice town. The thought of a weekend getaway to take in a Boise State Broncos football game and fishing for steelhead on the river in town sounds like a great weekend to me. And from Northwest Cable News, we've got a dumb criminal with dumb luck story. Turns out last week in Ontario, Oregon, an Oregon State Police trooper spotted 2 men and a dog in a stolen car. However, when the trooper tried to pull over the car, the vehicle took off and the pursuit was on. Officers ended the pursuit for safety reasons, but continued to follow the general path of the vehicle and caught up with it on Bureau of Land Management land near Vail. Once there, they took the passenger into custody for an outstanding warrant and then began following footprints in search of the driver. After hours of searching for that driver, whose name is Gregory Morrow, on the ground and in the air, they came upon the dog that had been in the car with the two suspects. As officers got close, however, the dog ran into a large badger hole and wouldn't come out. The officers removed the dog from the hole, and as they did, they heard a man screaming for help from deeper in the hole. They quickly realized that Morrow had climbed into the hole, feet first, and gotten stuck in the narrow passage. He told officers he was losing feeling in his arm. It took police more than an hour of digging to reach Morrow and get him out. Once the suspect was unearthed, he was promptly taken into custody. Authorities say if they hadn't found Morrow, he would have likely died of exposure. Fortunately, he won't freeze to death in jail, which is where he is now. Stick around. We've got some great events taking place at Sportsman's Warehouse stores near you, and your Sportsman's Warehouse Trivia Question of the Week coming up right after this short break.
Hey, honey, come here. Check out these new loophole binoculars. They're not only great to see birds with and animals with, but check out the stars. Hey, and since there's a full moon tonight, I thought it'd be a perfect time to break them in. Here, take a look.
Wow, I can't believe it. You can actually see the craters on the moon.
Oh, but it gets better than that. See that gray area up there right to the right? That's the Sea of Tranquility. That's where the astronauts landed on the moon and planted the American flag.
This is so cool.
Now, if you look close, you can still see that flag.
Stop telling her stories.
Don't worry, Dad. I saw it. It was right next to Lunar Rover.
Leupold Binoculars. Optical quality that's out of this world. Find them at a sporting goods store near you or at leupold.com.
This is the time of year to get out and cook out. So make your next meal sizzle with Camp Chef, the brand known for quality outdoor cooking equipment. To eat like a king on your next adventure, go to campchef.com or visit your local sporting goods store and get cooking. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, a nationwide group working to keep public lands in public hands. We've helped ban the use of drones for hunting. We help repair wildlife corridors in key riparian areas. We speak up against illegal ATV use. We collaborate with elected leaders to keep public lands in public hands. We're Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, with membership in all 50 states and Canada. Please join this dynamic conservation group. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after. Whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out on the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of the Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
One more time this week for Northwestern Outdoors Radio with John Cruz.
Let's run through some upcoming events taking place at Sportsman's Warehouse stores around the Northwest. The first one is taking place next Friday, the 18th, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Lewiston. It's a sidewalk sale, and you're not going to want to miss this because they're taking 50% off merchandise from the clothing and footwear area. There's also going to be a clearance blowout area where you can find savings of more than 50% off the lowest mark price on additional items. On the 19th, in East Wenatchee, you've got to be there at noon and take part in the chili cook-off. I was there last year. It's a ton of fun. You get to sample chili that's cooked by Taco Shava, Olive Garden, Ducks Unlimited, the Wenatchee Sportsmen's Association, and the Mule Deer Foundation. You then vote for your favorite chili, and the winners get up to a $500 gift card from Sportsman's Warehouse to use for whatever projects they choose to. They will also be deep frying turkeys, and you can enjoy samples from these tasty birds too. So bring your appetite and come on down. I'm going to be there again, and I'm looking forward to it. Again, that's noon at the Sportsman's Warehouse store next Saturday, the 19th, in East Wenatchee. Now, some of you hearing this in Southern Oregon are thinking, man, I want some turkey too. Well, guess what? That same day, the 19th, from 2 to 3 p.m. at the Klamath Falls Sportsman's Warehouse store, you can go ahead and taste some deep-fried turkey there because they're going to be deep-frying one, and I'm pretty sure they'll probably give you a sample if you ask. There's also going to be a seminar about gun cleaning an hour earlier. So the turkey deep frying's from 2 to 3 p.m. The gun cleaning seminar is 1 to 2 p.m. at the Klamath Falls Sportsman's Warehouse store. You'll learn everything you need to know about cleaning your gun in terms of the types of oils to use, the best tools for cleaning, and how to store your firearm so it doesn't get rusty in the off-season. If you want to find out about other events taking place at Sportsman's Warehouse stores, simply go to the website, sportsmanswarehouse.com. Go to the bottom of the page, go to the left, and look for the tab about store events, and look for an event at a store near you. And now, it's time for your Sportsman's Warehouse Trivia Question of the Week. This national monument near Gillette, Wyoming, was featured in the 1977 movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It was the nation's first national monument, designated as such by President Theodore Roosevelt, and it features a monolithic, flat-topped rock rising 847 feet from the ground. The monument is also home to a surprising amount of birds and mammals you can see while you're there. Do you know the name of this national monument? If you do, go to our website at northwesternoutdoors.com and go to our Contact Us page. Let us know that way. Or if you prefer, go to our Facebook page. Like our page, look for the post where this question is, and give us your answer there. One lucky person who guesses right will get the $25 gift card we give away every week from Sportsman's Warehouse. While you're on the web, check out our sister show website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. We continue to add stations, and you might want to check to see if there's one near you. If there isn't, you can listen to a podcast on the front page and find out what's coming up on the show as well. Another place to hear not only that show, but this show is at WRVO Radio. The website is RenoViolaOutdoors.com. It's an internet site dedicated to outdoors programming that is brought to you from all over North America. We're proud to be there. It's RenoViolaOutdoors.com. That's all for this week. Again, if you see a veteran, thank him for his or her service, and let me tell all of you who are veterans out there, thank you as well. I appreciate you more than you know. Until next time, take care, God bless, and